Welcome to Amplified, where manifestation and business collide for your big dreams, life and impact. I'm Lou George, your host. You can expect solo episodes from me, as well as inspiring conversations with the most incredible entrepreneurs, leaders and creatives. Make sure to hit subscribe so that you don't miss a future episode, and enjoy the show. My guest today is Alex Mischka. Alex is an embodied menswork, sex, intimacy and personal growth coach. Alex facilitates workshops and retreats based around masculine growth and expansion. He helps you to end your relationship chaos and sexual blocks to embrace an epic life of deeper connection. He also guides men to become stronger leaders and lovers, and women to explore their innate designs in intimacy. He also guides couples through their relationship and sexual landscapes. Please join me in welcoming Alex Mischka. Alex, we made it. Welcome. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Lou, it's lovely to meet you. Thank you so much for inviting me onto your podcast. And I think after a year, it's wonderful to finally get to riff with you and chat with you.
It really is. This part of the podcast is always so weird because obviously we catch up before the podcast and we're like, hey, how are you?
Yeah.
But it's good to see your face, and I'm glad to say that the sun is shining here in Cornwall today as well. Otherwise, I would be extremely jealous of you being in Ibiza. Not that I am most of the year.
Yeah, it's very hot here. It's the hot season. It's the intensity season. A lot of people burn out at this point, and it's full of tourists, and it is just zinging. And I honestly miss the English countryside and the peace and the quiet of like a small provincial village. So
yeah, that's my life, especially in the winter. It's kind of packed here at the moment with everyone on their holidays, but it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
So I would love to dive straight in, and there's a question that I ask all of my guests that I used to do at the end, and now I do at the beginning. And that is, if all your work disappeared today, there was nothing, no social media, nothing, all of your body of work had gone, what's the one thing you would want to say?
I think it was actually, there was a line I was using this morning in a reel I made, and it's like, one day you're going to breathe your last breath and you're going to be 6 feet under or dust. And what would you give to come back and have one more human emotion, one more smile, one more laughter, one more tear? So like, just to really enjoy those moments, as fucked up as they can be sometimes.
Thank you. That's a great reminder. Do you try and live that way? Is that something that kind of thing stay with you on a daily basis? Do you feel that through your life?
I have to say, try is the word. It's a tryout. It's an attempt. I'm trying to find more and more range. And this is, I know we followed some of the same great teachers over the years.
Yeah.
And they speak about depth and range a lot. And I think this is where a lot of my work is moving towards with men and women is cultivating range. Like, can we access our grief or deep pleasure on demand? And what needs to move through us, can we give it space to move through and not try and control
it? Deep pleasure on demand. I love that. If only it was at the flick of a button.
Yeah, you've got to work for it, right? We've got to make time for it. And even I have to make time for my own self-pleasure. And sometimes we want to outsource it to other people. It's a practice, right?
I love that you picked up on the try as well, because I was actually going to take that word back, because I don't typically like the word try. It's like you're either doing or not, right? But actually it's quite fitting in that, we're all in the trying to figure it all out. And
words
there's no there, is there? You're doing or you're not, but there's no kind of there, complete, got it all together. And that's where the trying does come in. It's like, okay, I'm feeling into this, I'm kind of figuring it out as I go.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I love the power of words. Spelling is a big part of generating and manifesting and the whole, law of attraction stuff. Words are really powerful.
Yeah.
But I do feel like a real beginner sometimes, especially when it's clunky and you're kind of stumbling over it. It's like, that's a tryout. That was a test. That was, that was a take. It was, you get to take it again and again and again, recommit. Don't give up. But yeah, I've had, especially in this retrograde, some really funky moments where I've had to go, oh, whoa, I don't think I took my own medicine there.
Well, we're human as well. And I think on this journey of self-development, once you sign up and once you begin, I certainly feel like this, it's just constant. It's never ending. We're always in the work, finding out new things, which, you know, I love equally, and is super challenging, right? It's always pushing your edges and rediscovering new facets of yourself or old parts that haven't been integrated. It's just that we're constantly on that journey, and we have to be as well, right? There's that whole thing about you can only take people as deeply as you've been yourself. So in the work that we do with our clients, it's being in it ourselves as well.
And I love what you're saying there. And also I think it's really important to be relatable.
Yeah,
like, you know, people are paying for our services because of all of the mistakes that we've made, which are like numbering in the thousands and thousands, trying to get something right. And then we found a way to crack certain codes. That takes so much trial and error. That takes real dedication. Devotion, I think. It takes a devotion to the art. And I think great art comes out of so much experimentation. So
I was checking out your socials earlier, and I was reminding myself of kind of a bit of your journey and what you share. And I love how you really dove into this journey. Was it back in 2017, around that time, that you began your journey in the, you know, the work that you're doing now? And I love that it seems like you put it all on the line, like you invested everything, like financially, time-wise, energetically, kind of put everything into this life path. Is that true? Is that
essentially, yeah? I realized that I wanted to get this new project rolling, and I had to get out of London, and I had to check like all of the stuff. But the first point was just to save the money. And so I completely burnt myself out saving the money, because I'm a projector. I can't go for 7 days. I have to rest. I'm curious what your human design is. Generator. Oh, you guys have got so much juice. It's just
people ask me all the time, like, how are you doing all the things? I'm like, well,
I have superpowers. And then it was time to make the break, and I put everything on the line. I just invested everything I had. I nearly wasn't able to because of the situation in my personal life and my family and the way the world was turning. It was like there were a number of tests and initiations just to get to that first booking of the first, I think, training. And then it just went all into that. I think that's pretty much what I devoted my time and energy to. I wanted to hoard it all. I wanted to hoard all my resource. You know, that's especially what the masculine in us loves to do, is collect resource and stockpile everything so we can stay safe and provide. And then I realized, actually, no, you need to start letting go. This thing you've worked so hard for, that you've never had before, which is a wedge of money, you have to now let go of that and reinvest it. Send it out there.
What was it that called you to this work in the first place?
Deep suffering, endless relationship issues, just not, and I think the suffering of my 20s. My father passed when I was quite young, and so the absence of a proper father figure. I think this is common in many of our lives, as we had a deep loss in our early years, and without the father figure, I just had no guidance. I didn't have a man to help me, and so I went off the rails quite a lot until everything came crashing down at 28. And I think the deep suffering of just endless relationship failures and not knowing who I was or having normal rites of passage. I started to source father figures and look for people I could learn from. And that's when I realized things like shadow work and the inner child and the subconscious and archetypal energy was so important for our evolution. So I was like, okay, this is it. This is where it is.
How did that start for you? Was it in a journey of therapy, or was there a particular teacher that you came across when you were looking for that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I got really into the dating scene because I wanted to become a better social connector, and I discovered people like an early version of, do you know Chris Bale?
Yeah.
So people like him, who were men on the scene that were clearly connected to their hearts, and they clearly, and they had a deep love and respect for the feminine. It wasn't a bunch of pickup artists that were trying to acquire through acquisition and deep wounding more women to feed the hole inside. So I naturally gravitated towards men in that field that were also talking about men's work and how to evolve as a man. And I was like, right, you're my father figures. I'm going to look up to you and try and emulate what you're doing so I can fix and heal what's inside me. And it took me a while to realize that the healing journey was like a lifelong journey. Like, it doesn't just happen in a year or two. That the wounds are deep, right? The stuff we've inherited from our upbringing and our conditioning and our parents. Even if we had good lives, good parents, right? We're still all pretty fucked up. So yeah, that's when I realized how deep the work was, and I got into it.
Well, it's like a wound that you keep scratching, right? You just discover more as you go into this work, and like you say, yeah, even if we've got good lives, this is kind of goes back generations. And if you think about, like, you know, it's relatively recently in history, we've got some major things have happened, you know, like World War II and things like that. There's just so much major worldwide generational trauma that's stored within all of our DNA, and we've got to, and those of us doing the work are kind of doing it for everyone. You know, just simply, we'll just take it on, all of the all of the work trauma. Give it to me, I'll deal with it. I'm doing my own work over here, I'll take on yours as well.
So someone's got to go first, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I hear you loud and clear. I had a Polish Roman Catholic family on my father's side that had their own special brand of trauma through the war, and on my mother's side, you know, seeing what she had to deal with. Oh my God, like she had a very hard upbringing, and so she gave us what she never had. So I think we're our parents did the best. Bless them, they did the best they could, right? But either way, we still got to work on the stuff that they inherited and that their grandparents inherited. And I think this is the great time of kind of breaking those chains. Something is happening in the field that has never happened before.
For sure. But this wasn't accessible. The kind of work that we're doing, you know, our parents' generation and past generation didn't have access to this kind of, especially with the technology that we have. It's instant, right? You know, this is at the push of a button. Like, we connected on Instagram. Like, you know, somebody asked me the other day, how do you find your podcast guests? And I'm like, we're so connected now. You know, once you're in this work, it's a small world. Like any industry, kind of everyone is connected somehow, right? So yeah, we're very blessed to have access to this.
Yeah, beautifully put. It's the field is alive. We can connect with each other really quickly. We pick up on a vibe or hear someone's voice, and it's like, oh, I'm drawn to you. Who are you? Let's hang out.
Yeah, cool.
And yeah, and you're right. And also, yeah, things like shadow work, breath work. I know yoga has been popular for a while, and meditation, mindfulness, but like all these modalities are coming online in such a big way now, because we're ready to get back into our bodies and figure out our stuff. And it's beginning to go mainstream, but no one was talking about breath work or shadow work 10 years ago, and not to my knowledge.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? And I think also, like, the modalities are becoming much more sophisticated because we've had, over the last 10 years, we have kind of quantum leapt into, and we've had so many people studying all of this work and kind of who have gone before and put the kind of hard work into discovering all of these things. Now we're able to tap more directly into the subconscious and energetics, and actually clear things so much faster with thanks to people who have come before. So with breath work and shadow work and all of these things, actually now seeing this quickening of healing. Not that it's ever done, but you know, in the moments that it's needed, we're able to kind of get more to the core wounds and do the work.
Yeah, beautifully put. I love that phrase, the quickening of the healing. That's a golden phrase. I love that. Yeah, feeling that.
What has been your biggest insight, or the biggest thing you've taken away from the men's work, especially? Because I see your videos of the work that you're doing, and I'm so deeply moved and touched and grateful that there are men like you in the world coming together and doing this work for us women as well. And it just seems like there is just such an incredible family. Like you would say, you were looking for the father figure. It feels like you've all found it equally in each other. Like there's a circle of father figure, you know? Like, does it feel like that?
It does, yeah. Men need other men, and it is true. It's true medicine. And I forget the first question.
I have no idea. This is how we roll, Alex. We go off on tangents, and then we
But it's really wonderful when women, we feel the support of the sisterhood of women such as yourself, like championing us deeper into the work, because it is for everyone, but especially so that we can show up more for the feminine, for the women in our lives, and be better supporters, providers, lovers, and tend to our stuff. Like we've got to, you know, it's a hell of a lot of stuff that we have to work through. So we're doing the work slowly, and men's work is becoming more and more popular, thank God.
Yeah, it's really cool to see. And it's so important that we do champion each other. And that's why us women, like especially those of us in self-development, are so excited to see you guys doing the work. So we're like, thank you. You know, we've all been through those traumatic relationships and dating experiences and friendships and family dynamics. And actually to see the opposite sex doing that work is like, oh, thank goodness, like, because we're over here doing that, and vice versa, right? We need you supporting us and cheering us on, because that's when we can come together in these, you know, male female relationship, intimate relationships and dynamics, and actually have been doing our work over here, supported by the women, supported by the men, and then all come together collectively. And that's been one of the most beautiful parts of my work as well, is actually coming together with women in these intimate circles and friendships. And actually I didn't have a good relationship with women before, you know. I was kind of more comfortable hanging out with men, with the boys, you know. But then that's how we've been taught in society and grown up. It's like the women are bitchy and kind of there's the competition and all of that kind of stuff. But actually when you go into the work and do the healing, there's so much support and love and opportunity to grow together and support each other. And that's been just amazing for me over the last decade, is to actually deepen my relationships with women and trust with the same sex, and actually feel completely held, and then to be able to bring a more whole me, you know, with my masculine and feminine energies, feeling supported by the same sex, and then being able to bring that into, you know, the other dynamics as well.
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear. Like the sister wound is deep, the brotherhood wound is deep, and we're all finding our respective tribes to kind of work with it, you know. And I think it is beautiful to have the support of the women around us. Like, for instance, after a retreat recently with the Unmasked Man, which is headed up by my friends Mitchell and Alex Mischka.Alex, there was a kind of like a check-in, like an integration session afterwards. And the men who came to the retreat had their partners join the call. And the women were describing like the change in these men, like the somatic, energetic, emotional change, that they could feel them just so much more alive and showing up more empowered, and in their king energy. And it was so humbling to have that feedback from the women, like in real time. That felt incredible. Wow. So yeah, and it's all about human relationships, right? It's how we have more healthy relationships with ourselves, with, you know, with our tribe and with our intimate partners.
I always talk about like the relationship that we have with ourselves setting the tone and foundation for every other relationship we have. Right? But what's your experience with that in the work that you do? Are you working with the individual first and foremost before you're going into the relationship dynamics and the intimacy with others?
Yeah, it's all about, I mean, in my flagship men's work program, which is called Leadership and Lovership, it's about self-leadership first. Can you be a safe container and shepherd your own emotion and your own family? Can you develop a strong, grounded identity and energy within your body? Can you really come home into your body first? Can you learn how to love yourself and your anatomy as a man, and then get used to moving certain energies through your body? Then you've got a strong foundation, you've got a baseline to work with. Then that's a great place to move into relationship from. So we've got to set ourselves up well for the relationship first. And I think most of us were just never ready for being in an intimate connection with people. No one taught us how to have good sex, how to have decent conversations, how to be vulnerable, how to hold space, all this stuff. Like, Jesus, no one taught us.
Did you not get that handbook? I got that handbook, but you must have missed that.
I didn't get it.
No wonder you're doing this work. I'm just kidding. No, we don't. And people talk about all the time, like we don't get parenting handbooks, but we don't often talk about relationship. We just go into these relationships, you know, so often from a very young age, and then so many people end up staying in very unhealthy relationships, unhappy and too scared to leave, or, you know, or don't ever find or able to cultivate a healthy relationship because they just don't know how to. And it is because it's within us, right? It's like the emotional intelligence that we have for ourselves. And do you talk about erotic intelligence as well? Is that one of the things?
I do, yeah. The erotic blueprints is one of the first things I studied. I was looking for a modern day sexuality kind of training, and the Jaya's erotic blueprints, because it was created by Miss Jaya. Yeah. She's this American sexologist. It really spoke to me. I was tempted to go down the traditional Tantra path, but then I just I couldn't find a teacher that I respected or trusted. So
Yeah.
the blueprints was, so erotic IQ is just, yeah, really an important way of understanding our desire, our arousal, our being able to tap into life force energy, which is usually expressed through desire. Um, and like that kind of like that thrumming energy of like, you're turned on all the time. How to be turned on all the time is a real practice, I think, especially for women, especially for the feminine, because you guys are highly charged erotic beings. I think as actually, to quote Chris Vale, you are not looking for an orgasm, you are the orgasm.
I love that. How have I not heard him say that before? Thank you. That's
Yeah.
love.
But it's true, right? It's true. That's what you guys are. Um, you have this incredible capacity for moving life force energy through you and orgasmic energy through you. It's slightly different for men because we're designed differently. But it's the same for all my clients. I asked them to kind of really get into their erotic IQ, see how that can transform their lives slowly, piece by piece.
And then is it learning to really harness that energy and use it most powerfully and channel it in healthy ways?
Yeah, you tend to go for what you want a bit more. You tend to be a bit bolder, a bit more vivacious, and a little bit more, just to have that extra spark in you, because you've got so much energy moving through you. And I think arousal and turn on, you see, pleasure seems to be a thing that was just the province of women. It's not. It's men need to feel pleasure as well. We can access pleasure in so many different ways throughout the day. We need challenge. We need challenge and growth. We need rites of passage. We need to be able to cope with intensity, and we need to be able to hold vast amounts of energy. But that energy could be grief, could be deep joy, it could be so many different shades of lots of energy moving through the body. And you know what it's like when you meet someone who's packing lots of charge. They're juiced up.
Yeah.
They're erotically alive because you can just see it in the way they walk, it's kind of the light in their eyes, the way they shake their hips. It's just there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's extremely magnetic, isn't it, and captivating. And then it's kind of staying grounded within that as well, and getting to explore the relationship and the emotional dynamics of that rather than just the erotic kind of immediate charge that's coming up.
Yes. Yeah, because it can be used very manipulatively at times, especially by certain women that know that they can tap into that slightly darker energy, like flashing that energy at men. And
well, there's a very unhealthy side of that in the coaching industry as well now. There's a lot of people talking about dark feminine energy, which is really powerful, but using it in a really manipulative way. I was on TikTok or something earlier, and there's just like whole channels dedicated to using dark feminine energy in a manipulative way. And I'm like, seriously, this is what we're doing? Like, and so for me, I'm like, please, all of my people who are such incredible healers and coaches and mentors, come forward, be visible, because we've just got this whole shady side of the internet that's all about hot rich girl summer and dark feminine energy and just manipulative, and there's this kind of entitled vacuous manipulative energy, and that just, it calls me forward more into my work, into being able to use that energy, because it is really powerful, but in not manipulative ways.
yeah, well, yeah, beautifully put. Try and counter-strike that, add a bit of balance to this. Yeah, Jesus. It's funny. All healing modalities end up getting. This is my teacher Kaligi. Actually, I'll have to reference him. He said, "Be careful of spiritual regurgitators and people that just kind of steal ideas and then kind of just put them out for mass consumption, or just are regurgitating stuff." Yeah. And I think there's just a shadow in every healing modality. There's going to be a shadow, a deep shadow of manipulation. Sure. Whether it's passive or active, we're all dealing with our own shadows. Yeah. Some of us can contract in on ourselves and play small, trapped in layers of shame, or some of us are going to be more extrovert and activated and just use what we've got to kind of try and create manipulative reactions. And we're feeding off people in those places. Yeah,
it's important. I wrote a post recently about the importance of spending time alone to manifest, but it is really coming away from all of the noise, right? Because for me, when I'm talking about manifestation, so first of all, knowing what you really want, and that's really hard in this day and age, especially because we're just bombarded with information and other people's stuff and what other people are doing more than ever before. So to try and discern what's theirs, what's mine in all fields is so important. Do you spend much time alone?
Dude, I'm a world-class hermit,
Nice.
and I love.
Well, I am as well, and I think in the work that we're doing, it doesn't surprise me that you're able to hold such powerful space because you need that time alone, right?
Yeah, totally. I love what you're saying. Magic happens in solitude, like where the ability to tune into our true kind of like our true north. What do I actually want to call in? You have to get away from the noise, and I think fasting as well, like being in solitude or just purging, allowing the body to clear, but especially being in solitude is where deep magic occurs. Yeah.
I don't see you so much in solitude as I see you in a cave with like a bunch of wolves around you. Like, have you got a little cave in Ibiza, like where you're just hanging out with the wolves, like Mowgli style?
I'm gonna do that. That's next. That's the next project is to create that. Yeah, that would be great.
What has been the biggest transformation you've seen in yourself through this work? So it's from you in 2017 or pre-2017 to now. What's that journey? What's the biggest piece of the transformation on the journey for you?
I feel like saying like everything, like how I feel inside my body, how I'm able to move energy, how I'm able to be present with what needs to move through me, how holding space. I think being able to hold space for things. Surrender has been a big one since arriving on this island, like learning the art of like, oh, I can't control any of this. It's just in the hands of the flow of events and life and the energy of things. So I'd say, yeah, the biggest transformation has been on every single level of life. To be generalizing, but that just is how it feels when you've got to really go through a fair few rites of passage. And it feels like it's just beginning. Like now I'm just becoming an adult. That's how I actually feel.
Nice. I love that you just said that. I was reading something that you can hear my dog in the background. They always make an appearance on the podcast. So I love having that energy in as well. Yeah, no, I mean, that's slightly delayed. I think he's picking up on the wolf thing. I told you about my friend Teo. Have you come across Teo Alfero's work? Yeah, with the wolf connection in California. He did this howling thing through lockdown where people were howling to their tribes across the world. So everyone would do a video and then pass it on. And I tried to get my dogs howling with me. And do you think they did? No. So it was just me. Like, please back me up here.
Yeah, come on, guys.
Domesticated, don't you know? Like, give us a sausage. We're not going to perform for you.
Yeah. Howling. Make me a cup of tea.
Yeah, seriously, we're chilling on the sofa.
That's hilarious. No, you got to try though, right? You got to try.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing that with your transformation, because I feel like that's really what it is more than anything. It's like actually integrating our childhood wounds and shadows. And there's something you said, this is what you said, I wrote this down actually from one of your posts, that we reenact our childhood patterning with our lovers. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? How does that show up, and is this something that you're working a lot with your clients on?
Yeah, for sure, always. Especially the couples work that I do, and as I'm unpacking my own attachment dynamics and understanding the moments where some of my shadow characters appear. It's so interesting. No matter who we meet, our dynamic. If the heart is opening, if the gates of the heart are opening, and we're going deeper in, the more and more of our stuff is going to come up, because it's a process of deep revealing. Like, it's a deeply vulnerable process to become more and more energetically, physically, and emotionally entwined with another human being. And the childhood stuff is always going to come up. Obviously, our shadow gets added to through every encounter that we move through life. It's like it just gets layered in. So it's not always just about what's happened in childhood. It's to do with other lovers that we've known and how they pulled away from us, or too intense, too there's just layers and layers to work through. But the inner child stuff is obviously, as you know, a big piece that we're always going to work on when it comes to our intimate relationships.
And in every relationship, every intimate encounter, it's like there's just new stuff. There's new things being presented to, new things being reflected back to us, right? I'm discovering that for myself now. Like you and I have spoken about my 16-year relationship that ended last year. So then I had the 16 years of what was certainly the latter half of my relationship. I was learning about all of this stuff as I immersed myself in the coaching world. And then it's a whole new, interesting, fun, joyful experience being like, because dating's so different now as well. Like the last time I dated I was 24. Dating apps didn't exist. Like the world has changed. So it feels like, I don't even know how to describe it. Just I've been thrown into this crazy new world. Like almost like I've been cryogenically frozen in a 16-year relationship, and now come out, and I'm like, what year am I in? How are people interacting now? Okay, we do it on a screen. That's interesting. It really is. And I, in the last year, have probably had to face my shadows and go into these childhood dynamics more than ever with dating and meeting new people. And it's been really fascinating.
Oh, it's such an interesting, and I love your analogy of like the cryogenically frozen, and then suddenly the modern world with like the Tinder and Bumble and what is all this? And like, hang on, where's the chart that says give me your attachment style? Are you in therapy? Do you have a men's circle? Tick, tick, tick. Okay, great. I think we're on.
Oh my God, seriously. If only dating apps were honest.
Yeah, dating is hard now. It's a hard gig. It's hard. It
really
is. It's fast and weird and strange, and everyone's yearning for things, and yet we all have deep needs that just, it's the whole landscape's changed. It's amazing.
Especially in midlife. The last time I dated, I was 24, and it was so easy. You know, it was like meet someone, swap numbers, see how it goes. But there's different priorities and like life pressures and so much stuff when you come to dating in midlife as well. And now I really feel for my girlfriends that moaned about online dating for years. I was like, what do you mean it's easy? Just meet someone. I mean, I don't get what you're moaning at. You know, but it says me from the kind of safety of my relationship and after so long. What are you, does this come up a lot with clients that you're working with as well? And do you, okay, I guess I want to know is advice for dating in midlife or coming out of long-term relationships and finding, or whatever that new experience is, where do we start to navigate that? Because that's how I found you, was when I was looking for, okay, I need to heal myself. I need to look at the parts, my shadows that came up in that relationship that didn't contribute to it flourishing or continuing past that. I need to look at where am I at now? What am I bringing or not bringing to new relationships? So that's how I came across you and your amazing work. Where do we begin with that? If someone's coming to you from a place of, I'm in this new world of a new relationship or newly dating, where would you say someone starts? How do we start making sure that we're bringing the best of ourselves into these new experiences?
That's a great question. Really beautiful question. I'm curious about just to ask you, like, what happened straight after your breakup? Did you have a long period of celibacy?
Yeah. So I had to, after so long, you know, I wasn't interested in and I knew, so from previous grieving experiences, that I needed, and I think you have as well, from what I've read and what we've spoken about. I have experienced really bad anxiety, panic attacks in the past through other traumas and grief that I didn't process fully. So I knew at the end of this relationship, I had to sit with it. I had to allow it to move where it needed to move, and I had to really be in that. And so for me, the first 3 months after that breakup, I was really grateful to be down here in Cornwall. Actually, this place helped me so well. I spent every day down at the quietest beach I know, by myself with my 2 dogs. And there's a particular rock that I've just got goosebumps. I went and sat on it the other day, a year later. I was like, this time last year, I sat on this rock, devastated. And just in this black hole, I guess, like numb, you know, the whole grieving process, what's that like, whether we've lost a loved one or a relationship's ended. And I just sat on this rock, and this voice came to me, and it was, when nothing's happening, anything is possible. And I sat with that for 3 months. Nothing else. When nothing's happening, anything is possible. And so I allowed the grief to move through me with that in mind. I'm not going to push this. I'm not going to fast forward this. I'm not I'm not interested in dating or meeting anyone else at this stage. I needed to be in that solitude a lot, just walking, sea swimming.
Beautiful. And I think that thank you so much for that reveal, because such a tender time. And it's such an important phase. And it's like you said, magic happens in the void, in solitude, right? Yeah. Manifestation happens in solitude. So the process, it depends where the client is in the journey. But there's the formula that I use, and I can generally tune a client into any stage of the formula depending on where they are, is we go from the void, celibacy, conscious celibacy. And John Wineland taught me the art of how to go through a feminine cleanse, right? 3 months minimum, 6 months is where it really gets deep. Yeah. And actually I did one of those when I first arrived in Ibiza. Then my first winter here, I was kind of isolated in the forest, in the campo. And I just knew that I just needed to cut myself off from it all. I'd had a particularly painful breakup that year. And I just realized the power of that space, like what actually comes through, the stuff that you're allowed to process when you're not filling yourself with all the distractions, dating apps, people, women, like you just have a moment to just like allow stuff to come through and allow deep healing to come through.
Yeah.
From that point on, then it's about really kind of getting crystal clear on what do you want? What kind of partner do you want? Do you want to just have fun? Are you going to be a wild card? Do you want deep committed partnership? And if you want deep committed partnership, your boundaries are going to have to be epic. Your standards are going to have to be incredible. You're going to have to be so true to your vision, and so many things will test you and pull you from that. And then we get on the dating wheel, and suddenly everyone's like a kind of test. Everything is like a weird experiment. So I really help my clients move through that.
I felt like you're like talking about my life right now. You are. This is where I'm at. So it was 7 months for me in the no dating and celibacy, and then I did meet someone, was dating for 3 months, and then I've been on a series of first dates. But for me, I'm calling him my king. So exactly what you've just said there, my boundaries are really, I'm very clear about exactly what I want, exactly who I'm calling in, and so, the tests are coming thick and fast, And it's tempting to let the boundaries go a little bit, right? You go on and you're dating and it's like disheartening and you're not meeting, who you want to meet. And it's like, oh, well, maybe I should just no. And I have to keep, my friends are great, actually. They keep reminding me, no, Lou, he's not your king. Just let him go. I'm like, okay, thank you. Thank you.
You have wise counsel. I'm glad to hear.
I do.
Yeah, it's hard. The standards thing is hard. I've dropped my boundaries many, many times, and I have been bitch slapped so hard by the universe. Ow, fuck, that was a mistake. That was a mistake. That was genuinely ouch. And I'm learning. I'm in the trenches with all of you, with all my clients. Like, I'm figuring out this as I go, trying to apply things in the moment, seeing what sticks, seeing what doesn't, seeing what works. But these formulas really work. And when we can find out how to regulate ourselves, because depending on whatever our attachment style is, we can always find a way to regulate. And to reference my other teacher, Damien Boller, he says it takes 2 to 5 years to actually repattern our nervous systems to security. But along that path, you could get to experiment with all of the people that you're meeting. And you get more and more secure with each time you can stop and breathe and express a true need and hold a boundary and hold a standard and come back to center, always coming back to center and staying true to like, this person's kind of tempting, but like there's something big missing.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that are the most intense, I think, to kind of like push back or let go of.
For me, it's safety. The absolute non-negotiable for me through all of my relationship experiences at this point in my life and the work that I've done, to feel physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually safe in all areas. And of course, that's cultivated between the two people in a monogamous relationship, right? But that is my that's the boundary that will not move. If I don't feel safe and safe to express my needs and my desires, safe in conflict resolution, safe in, right? So, and that's something that I have learned from dating, that actually we're so blessed to be in this work, to have this kind of language and have this awareness it doesn't mean we're there, but just to have awareness of healthy conflict resolution and to be able to feel safe in this way. Most people, you know, especially if you're going into this world of dating apps and people who aren't in this industry, wow, you know, it makes me realize how blessed we are to have this understanding, this awareness. But then it does make it makes it trickier when people don't have that
Yeah, totally. You know, some people are just quite secure inside themselves. They were born. I'm not sure if they were born secure, but they had a good mix. They had a good mix of the right
parenting. These unicorns you're talking about?
I have no idea who they're. Let's round them all up and just squash them into one big secure person.
I thought you were going to say squash them into one big science experiment. We need to study them first. We need to know.
Yeah, I was always a bit envious of the secure people out there. Like, how do you? But then again, I wouldn't have had this journey, and I wouldn't have gravitated to all my great teachers who were all struggling with their stuff. You know, it's a different life, isn't it? The path of the wounded healer. It's a noble path. It's not an easy one.
Wounded healers.
Yeah. We want to figure out why, how does this work? Like, what great, you know, how do we alchemize this pain and confusion into gold? Like, that takes work.
Were you like that as a child? Were you inherently curious and questioning? And
I would say so, yeah. I was great at making things with Lego. I was curious about how the universe worked really early on. Like, I didn't grow up, I know a lot of people say this, it's a cliche, I didn't feel like other people, but I just generally didn't fit in at school. I was interested in weird stuff. Like, what is God? What's the spirit, source? Like, things like that in my late teens. I didn't lose my virginity until very late in life. I kind of was just quite disowned from the world of women and dating, and I was just really into music and spiritual pursuits. So I was kind of in my ashram, in my cave quite early on. And then I realized, Alex, you haven't had your main rites of passage. Go and lose your virginity, try and move out of home, find out who you are as a man. And it came very late for me in life. So I love helping men get on the path much more quickly. Like, develop a great relationship with your cock, learn how to be a good lover, learn how to be a good communicator, learn how to stand strong inside your own body, inside your own bones, and have a sense of purpose and a sense of genuine power, healthy power, and then go out and maybe find a beautiful woman to share that with. Or if you want, multiple women, but be honest about what you want.
Yeah.
I think polyamory can be very healthy if you at certain phases in our lives to have multiple dating partners and stuff. But I think you grow out of it at some point. You just want depth and devotion. You're really dedicated to intimacy. I think it's difficult to spread that around. And it's very tiring energetically as well.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I think there comes I was thinking now in my midlife, it sounds exhausting.
It is exhausting. I almost fell back into it here in Ibiza because it's 80% beautiful women. And so you have to be really quite in integrity. And it's hard. And there's so much feminine energy here flying around. I speak to a lot of men about it. So that's always feeding you as a man. But deep down, myself, and I know a lot of the men I am connected to, we actually just want one partner to kind of just go deep with. Because things are so transient here, and the island is always shifting and changing, and people are always moving around. It's very hard to settle here. It's very, very hard. So, that's been something I've been struggling with personally.
Well, you and I were talking about that before we hit record. Well, I was mentioning like that's one of the greatest takeaways I have from my long-term relationship is that I love having that depth and devotion with one person as a solid foundation and as a home that then you've got that energy to channel into. So that's why for me polyamory this stage of my life would not work, because I have so many other projects and things in my life that are exciting, and I also want to be able to focus and pour depth and devotion into. For me to have that solid foundation, that home with another, and it's just so exciting because you have so many different relationships with one person as well. You know, if you have someone else that is constantly evolving and growing and then they're never the same, and that gets really exciting.
That's a beautiful phrase. You can have so many different relationships with one person. I really believe in that. And I love how you describe how it's a safe base, it's a safe home to launch pad out into the world and build your empires. I can say that's my life's work, is to kind of create that kind of partnership. It's where I'm heading. I've met some incredible partners along the way, but they've always tended to be quite intense and fast burning, and so I think I've just been in constant training for a much deeper, longer relationship, and that's where we know the deepest growth occurs, and the deepest healing as well.
I can't think of any that I really kind of look up to, but there are lots of examples now of like power couples. You really see the amplification when two people who are doing the work come together, and that's the thing, isn't it? It's when so Garan Jones and his wife Blair. Are you familiar with them?
I believe so, yeah.
He was on my podcast a while back, and so I think I was talking to him about his marriage, and also you can see it with what they're putting out into the world. They both have their own empires they're building, and then they come together, and it's just amplified. And then they're building their family kind of unit, and now they've got their beautiful baby called Baby Soul. So that's the thing. That's what is a non-negotiable for me. It's to have that kind of dynamic where you have that safety and that empire that you're building together, but then you're free to go off. You still have your own thing, and just the amplification of energy. That's it.
Oh, I love it. That's so inspiring. That is what we want. That is what I want. That's what you want, definitely. There's a couple called Justin and London Winters. Justin Patrick Pierce and London Winters, and they're an incredible couple that have they found a way to continue to infuse their partnership with the most amazing eros and life force and relationship dynamics, fire and passion. And they've served so many difficult times, and they've now created this incredible third entity together, which is their work. And they have a family and all their struggles, and it's like the couple you just mentioned. They are a force to be reckoned with. It's so inspiring watching them. It's like, wow, this is what's possible.
I love that you spoke about third. It might have been John. I did some work with John Wineland years back, and talking about the third energy, like this third being. So there's three beings in the relationship. There's you, there's your partner, and then there's this being that you're adding to. And it's like, what am I love thinking of it like that, because it makes it so much easier than it's just you and me and this thing. It's like, what am I adding to this being? Is what I'm adding to this, am I nurturing this being? Or thinking of it as a crystal, am I nurturing this crystal? Am I giving it positive energy? Am I being intentional about what I'm adding to this, rather than just the back and forth between the two people? I think that makes it easier. It's almost like having a broader perspective of what's going into this space.
Absolutely. Yeah, beautifully put. Well said. I love the way John encapsulates those teachings, because it's all based on the couple bubble. But the couple bubble you can infuse so much more into it than just being a bubble. It's a living, breathing entity that gets to get, like you're sculpting some amazing new form. So yeah, I'm all for that.
Nice. What's the biggest breakthrough you've observed in someone else? Like from where someone's come to you in a place that has been really messy, chaotic, not working, and then what's been the transformation? Obviously, with client confidentiality in mind, but is there one standout or anything that you have experienced that you've been like, this is why I do what I do?
I have had a few clients recently that, because the bond with us there was such great energy between us, and you could feel it when you first meet the client. There's like that instant, like, I want to give it all to you. You get my full love, energy, time, attention, because this is a collaboration now. We're buddies, and I think in those, this is what I'm realizing as a projector. Because I can see, again, I get an imprint of people quite quickly, but then once I get working with someone, I can see deeply into elements of their life, their multidimensionality. Yeah. So it's easy to extract things. Those partnerships, those collaborations is what I call them, collaborations. Those collaborations yield incredible results. And so I've had a few men that I've worked with recently where the fucking energy has been off the scale. And you see the somatic shift in them afterwards. They stand like kings. And you can feel it in their eyes and everything, the way they're holding themselves. And that just is, absolute medicine. And they become friends afterwards. We become buddies. generally happens with my clients. We stay connected, and we'll probably end up working on things in the future.
That's cool. There aren't any words to describe it. It is the witnessing of the shift in energy, right? The somatics. That's, as you were saying, that's the thing. It's when somebody fully embodies.
Yeah, it's embodiment.
Their truth. They're radiant. So radiant. So are you familiar with Danielle Laporte's work on desire mapping? So it's.
I love the sound of it. I haven't heard of it.
Okay, so it's how it's kind of my entry into this world. Desire mapping is about understanding how you most want to feel, so that when you're setting goals, when you're entering into relationships, when you start creating anything, you can check in with, is this going to make me feel the way I want to feel? So it kind of bypasses all of the head braining and the pros and cons. It's like, I want to feel radiant. Is this, going to contribute to that or take away from it? It's very, very powerful, very quick. And so typically you come up with 3 to 5 core desired feeling words, so that you have those 3 to 5 words as an anchor to help you navigate life and decisions. For me, I've had one word for the last few years, and that has been radiance. And it's been so beautiful. Over this last year especially, people have been reflecting that back to me. People have been saying, you look so radiant. I'm like, it's been my anchor. It's been what I've been cultivating intentionally. So to have people reflect that to me has been really special, and it has been the most powerful word for me to navigate. And I said to you, it's not that life's easy, it's chaotic as fuck, but staying in my radiance, how can I, simple things like sea swimming. I'm going to go for a sea swim. What is the decision I can make in this moment that's going to make me feel more radiant? That's it.
I love it, and you do look radiant today, and you are carrying
Thank you.
It's like it's not just chiming in with time for a compliment. It's fucking true. It comes through the body. It comes through the eyes. It's like it's truly embodied. I know embodiment is another word that didn't really exist 10 years ago, and now it's everywhere because this is where it is. It's a transmission that comes through the body. Yeah. I love how John teaches about that, especially, and that's been huge in my work, in my personal life, like trying to tune the transmission. And I love the fact that you picked the word radiance. If there's one word that is, I think, the essence of the activated feminine, that is so mysterious and alluring and magnetic, it's that inner radiance that's flowing through. It's a force to be reckoned with. So we've got to cultivate that in our lives. We've got to find ways to nurture it, protect it, nourish it, bring it forth. Yeah. That moves mountains. I think that's the becoming magnetic is powerful, I think. When we can shine like that really does begin to. It's like we're sending a pulse out into the field. Yes,
I love that. It is. It's the amplification. It's what we're adding. We were talking about the amplification of the dynamics in a relationship, but it's contributing to the collective. How are we amplifying or taking from the collective field as well?
Yeah. And if we can self-source our own inner radiance, and you get 2 people that can do that, oh my God, right, there we go. That's an evolutionary partnership right there. Bang. Nice. They can regulate individually, can regulate together. They're both souped up, they're both turned on, they both can self-source their own pleasure and inner radiance, and then 2 forces combined. That's like knockout stuff. So yeah.
I kind of wanted to do this, as you said that, what's that, the Regulate song? As you were saying that, I wanted that. I was listening to put my shades on. How's it go? Because that was kind of in the back of my head as you were saying.
I wish
here's where we play the outro and the.
I'm banned from telling jokes and humming songs. So
are your jokes that bad?
Just for a bit of comedy humor, earlier this week, one of my jokes backfired so badly that it almost caused a split in a relationship.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'm banned from telling jokes now. I can't sing, so.
So that's the song. I think everybody should now go and put on Regulate. Who is it? I can't even remember. It's like a 90s classic, right?
Yeah, LL Cool J. I don't know. Yeah, it's got a great riff in it. That's for sure.
Well, we're going to play that later. I'm going to go to the beach after this, and that's what's going to be playing in my ears. Anything you want to leave us with, Alex? What's next in your world? What would you like to invite people into? Anything you want to share?
Forming loads of cool stuff here on the island. So if you want to work with me in person, which is actually a really juicy experience, we are doing loads of workshops here, and I'll be hosting a men's retreat here at some point. and hopefully a mixed men's and women's retreat.
Nice.
Which will be really interesting. And if you want to find out more about my work, please visit my channel on Instagram, which is Alex_Mischka. Go to my website at alexmischka.com, where all my offerings are in one place. And I work with men, women, and couples. And I really adore forming great collaborations with beautiful people. So,
beautiful.
Great to
We'll put all the links in the show notes as well. Please do go follow Alex. It's been such a pleasure to follow you over this past year and to get to know you, and you're just so generous in your work as well. So just, you know, even if you don't go and work with Alex in Ibiza or personally, just that you'll get so much from the content that you're sharing. So thank you. I'm going to come to Ibiza at some point because it's Ibiza and it's been a while.
You'd be most welcome.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm just inviting myself. We'll come hang out. Thank you. It's been such a pleasure chatting, and I'm sure more conversations to be had.
I hope so, Lou. It's been an honor to meet you finally. Thank you so much for inviting me on your Knockout podcast. You've had some incredible guests, and I love your energy. Just think you're out there. So
thank you. Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of Amplified. I'm your host, Lou George. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss any future episodes. You can expect more solo episodes with me, as well as inspiring conversations with some of the world's most incredible entrepreneurs, leaders, and creatives. Here's to your big dreams, life, and impact.